Hi, John.
Hey, Alex.
Do you know what I hate?
What's that?
Molecular gastronomy.
Which part? The molecules or?
I think probably the PicoJet.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that thing stinks. I hate it.
And like weird balls of stuff.
Do not like, I like good balls of stuff, but weird balls of stuff? Get out of here.
Yeah, you do. So yeah, we watched The Menu.
I don't want a pizza, I don't want a pizza, peanut brittle, I don't want a pear, I don't want a bagel, I don't want a bean, I wouldn't like a bag of beef or a beer, or a cup of cheddar corn, cake or cream, cauliflower, cause I'm waiting for the dinner bell to do the bell thing. Dinner bell, ring.
Let me ask you this. I know we've gone through this before with other people, not necessarily on the show. I mean, like as Americans, as you and I, as the most patriotic two people you're ever going to run into. Why do we get like obsessed with one actress and put her in fucking everything? Now, I like Anna Taylor-Joy. She's good, but she's in fucking everything.
Yeah, because that's it. She's so hot right now. It's always, and I believe I've made this reference to other things on the show. It's like when, and this is perhaps unfair, but what little I know about the Italian film history, I think I got this out of a Sergio Leone book. That basically like, oh, this Western was big. Everyone make Westerns. Everyone make Westerns right now. Oh, this Giallo thing was big. Everyone make Giallos right now. Everyone do that.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how Hollywood works. And yeah, it's like, oh, she's so hot right now. Yeah, absolutely. And I don't fault someone for being like, strike while the iron's hot. But then I do think like Jennifer Lawrence, she kind of went away for a little bit. And her thing was like, I was tired of being in everything, basically.
Yeah, which good for her.
Yeah. And because I know like for a period of time, I feel like Amy Adams was in absolutely everything.
Yeah, that's a good example. Amy Adams is exactly the kind of thing I'm talking
about.
But
again, just, like great actress, great, fantastic actor, but just I'm good. I don't need you in every role.
Yeah, I'm not against her. It's just weird. Like, so we've been doing this show for 5-ish years, maybe 6.
Something like that.
Anya Taylor-Joy. It might be Anna.
That's Anya.
Is it Anya? Okay.
Anya.
She's 25, maybe?
Sure, why not?
She may be the most covered actress we've ever done. Certainly in lead roles. Because Last Night in Soho, The Witch, and then this. And I think she was in another one too.
God, she was born in 96. That's depressing. That just makes me feel old.
That's So that makes her... Yeah. So 96 plus 30 is 2026 minus 3 is 27.
Okay, so there you go.
Right?
Yeah, why not? I don't do math.
Yeah, I don't know either, as demonstrated by how fucking weird I just did it. But anyway, the point is, it's just weird that like she is just, no, Jennifer Lawrence was mother. Yeah. I was like, the other one.
Yeah. But that'd be interesting. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see who the most, like to tabulate up all the movies we've done and see who has appeared the most in movies that we've done.
Yeah, well, here's the thing for audience at home. If anybody's got Google Sheets, or if you got Excel, I'm sure there's a LibreOffice has an Excel thing. Go through, take every movie we've done in order, including the Patreons. So you're going to have to sign up for a Patreon. No, I'm not giving you a free one. And I need you to put everybody, just top 10 per movie, unless it's like a big ensemble cast, then maybe top 20, into the spreadsheet.
Yeah.
And then collate them by number of appearances, and then subdivide that by male, female, and non-binary.
Please. You don't even need to say that. That's just given that you're going to subdivide things.
Yeah, and then if you could send that to us, that'd be great. But like, send it as like put it in your like Google Drive, and then send us invites to it so you can update every movie from now on.
There's a very specific person this is a message to, and I don't know if they exist. Point is that Anya Taylor-Joy is in a lot of stuff, but I'm not tired of it. I think some of that is also like the proximity of you to entertainment media, stuff about celebs and that kind of stuff. Like you might see Anya Taylor-Joy a lot more if you're reading Us Weekly or People or something like that.
As you know, I do.
Yeah. But so I'm just saying, like, as I get more and more disconnected from popular culture, I feel like that's less of a thing. I don't feel like, oh my God, I'm so tired of it. It's still there, but it's not, it's not as ever present.
My Google feed believes me to be interested in Anya Taylor-Joy. And I think it's just, from doing the show and like Googling stuff. So I get a lot of updates from her, and she seems like a stand-up kind of lady. So
right.
I'm fine with it.
But it's funny because it's also like there's a period of time where it's like, oh my God, I'm so sick of Felicia Day. And everyone's like, who? Because it's just what, the kind of media you're around.
So question for you about this movie again.
Yes.
So this is an actor question. What would it take for you on the podcast to agree to watch every movie where Ralph Fiennes plays a villain?
Oh, I would. I almost
had you. I almost had you.
Oh yeah. Woo. That was close because I got very excited and then it hit me. I'm like, wait a minute, who's asking this question?
Yeah. It's weird because I don't even like the Harry Potter movies. The thing I realized about it, why do I think his name is Rafe when it's Ralph?
Because that's how it's supposed to be pronounced. Is Rafe Fiennes.
What is he like? What country is he from?
He's English. He's just a weirdo.
Oh, that's bullshit.
I don't know.
You can't just mispronounce Ralph. That's nonsense.
It's take it up with the Queen's English.
The King's English prick.
I was the Queen's English till recently.
Yeah. Well, some of us live on the bleeding fucking edge of culture,
That's
and
true.
I know.
See, I don't. Wait, she's dead?
Regent's ex machina, or what the fuck you say, King Chaz the Magnificent. Long may his reign be.
He was named after his step grandfather, who pronounced his name that way. So take it up with him.
I mean, I would, but I'm pretty sure he's like super dead.
Well, get good at communing with the dead.
I have been working on my necromancy. All right, so the menu.
The menu.
I knew very little about this going in, and I want to tell you what my guess was. And I'm kind of bummed that my guess was wrong. Not kind of, but so I thought this was going to be, we go to a psychopath kitchen guy, a chef, and he kills the people because that seemed pretty obvious from the trailer and whatnot. I thought he was going to make them eat each other a little bit. Like I thought there was going to be like a cannibalism thing. I'm not saying that that wouldn't be like some big deal, but I would kind of like, and maybe it's the watching the TV show Hannibal in me, that like maybe they made him eat one guy, or like one of the things in the shed that's being smoked was like a previous guest, or just like I don't know. I'm not saying it needs cannibalism, but like I felt like there was a cannibalistic hole in this movie.
I wouldn't be surprised to learn if that was a very big concern of like, we don't just want to do Hannibal. We're trying to do something else. And while that would totally fit, and I do agree that like that's been done before and maybe we shouldn't do that. But what I knew about it going in is, I had a similar thing where I'm like, okay, this is I knew it was sort of a horror thing, some crazy chef that, I kind of assumed there was going to be him feeding people to other people. And then I read, then I started seeing it being like, oh, like this really takes down rich people a peg. And so I was expecting that. And it does. I mean, hey, aren't rich people dumb? How's that for 106 minutes? I don't want to tip my hand too much, but I just thought some of the satire of it was a little with a sledgehammer.
I don't disagree, but I liked it in a black comedy. I'm kind of all right with.
I don't mind. It didn't. This to me ultimately is not a near of a miss as The Invitation, but it is like I did find it more frustrating than I actually enjoyed it. So it's fine.
I'm going to tip my whole hand. I enjoyed the shit out of this. Really like this movie, but I like a dark comedy. And my one complaint is, and you're right, like I agree with what you're saying. It didn't bother me because I was leaning more towards the comedy thing. I wish it was slightly funnier.
I agree with that. There were a couple of moments that really got me and that I thought were very, very funny. Some of it is that it might hit a little bit different if I was more immersed in that culture. A friend of ours and a chef, Micah, who cooks at the Fishwife, the local restaurant, the Fishwife. Highly recommend. Go check it out. It's great. Pointed out to me, because I was chatting with him about this, that after the fact that there was a restaurant called Noma that was kind of famous for being this pretentious and ridiculous, and its chef, very much like the chef of this movie. It turns out that was a big inspiration for this movie. He closed his restaurant after this movie came out. He says that it's like sustainability, but everyone's like, no, this movie just burned him too bad. So I don't know.
Was Noma the one in like Greenland or whatever? And it was like
Copenhagen,
weird?
I think.
Yeah. I saw a like a Bourdain or like a Vice or something about that, and it was. That popped in my head too. It's like super, super pretentious.
Yeah. Which is the thing, like, and that's, that's not necessarily a new thing. I remember, again, with like Bourdain seeing a thing years ago of him going to some restaurant in, I don't even remember where, but the guy was like, you sit down at the table and you had two envelopes in front of you, and one said submit and the other one said rebel. And if you gave submit, you just got like the regular menu. But if rebel, they do something different. And one of the dishes you would get was a basket of rocks that were all like edible clay and like flavored certain ways. But then there was an actual rock in there too. What am I supposed to do with that, man? You just fed me a fucking rock. But like it's that kind of stuff. And in fact, the article I was reading about with the Noma thing, they mentioned that he has a dish at Noma, which costs like at least $500 to eat there. Has a dish called the hen and egg. This is from augustman.com. What Noma, one of its signature dishes is the hen and egg. We can try to use superfluous words, but let's be real. It's a fried egg. On top of that, it's a fried egg that you have to cook yourself. And so this does kind of point, some of the satire in this does sort of point to the emptiness and ridiculousness of some of this stuff. And like, it's funny, but it doesn't, I've seen that kind of thing like done better, and it's very on its face. But particularly because like it also like it wants to, it very skirts that like edge of pretension that it's making fun of.
See, that's what I thought was kind of expertly done in it, was how it rode that line between like mocking it while still kind of being in. I was like, oh, this is really good. Like, I really like it, but I just wish it was like a tiny bit funnier. And I think it comes down to two things. One, the script just, throwing a couple more gags. But I think the James Marsden looking motherfucker, what's his name?
Nicholas Hoult.
Nicholas Hoult should have been that should have been somebody funnier with a little bit more like comedic talent. I think some of his reactions, I'm not saying he'd get laughs, but I think there would be like a humor to it in another actor's hands. I'm not saying he did a bad job. I just think it changes the tone enough that you don't get you get more black than comedy.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take that out of context and use it elsewhere.
I get it.
I think one of the issues I have with it is, I think it'd be a little bit funnier because some of the tone it kind of takes makes me think more. And then when I'm thinking more, I go, boy, these characters are all two-dimensional. And then I'm kind of thinking about that. And then I'm kind of thinking about some of the motivations of some of this stuff. And
that's what we don't need.
It didn't capture me in like the horror part of it. As soon as like you kind of figure out what's going on, it's like, oh, this is weird. But then it doesn't sustain that. So I'm not in that mode, but the movie's still kind of acting like it's in that mode, if that makes any sense.
Exactly. That's the other thing, is either put more comedy in, which actually even that's a standard. We're putting more comedy in, but I also think it would work to have more horror. Mm-hmm. We're going to the cannibal thing. We're going out of order here, but The Mess, where the guy shoots himself into, there's no reason why you don't eat some of him. It's just,
I kind of assumed that was going to be,
it just makes no sense from a comedic, from a dark, from horror and comedy. Both of those, the punchline is you have to eat some of his head. And he says, flavored with 45 millimeter low grain gunpowder.
Yeah.
Like, there's a beautiful joke sitting right there dead on the ground with Lloyd, or the fuck his name is. And they didn't go for it.
Yeah, that was the moment which actually kind of took me out of it even more, because some of this, because ostensibly this is the big picture of it is that Ralph Fiennes is the celebrity chef, and this whole night is about revenge basically against these rich charlatans and himself for a number of reasons that we'll get into. But the fact that everyone else was in on it, like his entire staff was like, yeah, this is cool, I had a real struggle with.
I'm fine with that.
Because
have you met sous chefs? That's the most believable thing I've ever seen in a movie.
Some of the concepts of it I get, like for that guy, for example, for Tyler, like, because Ralph Fiennes has him do the whole speech about like, do you actually want my life? Is this what you want? He's like, no, this actually sucks. Well, I guess the only other answer is to kill yourself. Go work at a sandwich cart, man. We've seen The Bear. We've seen how awesome that can be. Learn to code, bro. Some of that stuff just seemed like it didn't.
I think you're glossing over the kind of, they're trying to draw analogies to like, Hale Bopp and the Kool-Aid cult down there.
Right. But I don't think Ralph Fiennes has that kind of charisma that made me believe that people would want to do that.
Well, I thought he was pretty charismatic, but beyond that, like when they walk in, they establish that he makes them work with almost no sleep. 4 hours of sleep is their best. Mm-hmm. Communal living. Like he's setting up that this is a cult. Yeah, that they're all brainwashed. So I'm fine with him saying, you have to kill yourself. This is part of the ultimate menu. Like, you're going to be part of great art. And him doing, like, I'm not saying in real life this. No, honestly, I think give me 50 to 100 sheets of high-powered blotter acid, alone time with our friend Micah and the rest of the staff. I'm not saying I could make this happen, but like maybe instead of murder, we could supplant orgy, but the experiment would be the same.
Well, I don't want any part of that, first of all. But it's also that
John, hold on. I'm gonna text him right now. John thinks I should give you acid and make you fuck people at your restaurant.
but I don't know. Maybe I needed more because I don't think you're wrong. Like as read, I can kind of get, but some of the stuff just felt so outlandish that I had a hard time. And I think just because I wasn't very engaged.
Yeah.
Because the satire was so broad and like, I get it, man. That I started to think about other things.
I think a lot of the difference between our view of it is also, I don't watch a lot of this kind of stuff. So some of the, like, I don't watch satire almost at all. And I don't watch a lot of horror at all. So I think a lot of the kind of tropey shit that you're tired of, I haven't seen in fucking ages. So like, I mean, literally, this was reminding me of like Monty Python or something where it's like, oh, this reminds me of stuff I watched 30 fucking years ago. Like, because it's just not so I'm not tired of any of it. And I find Ray Fiennes is, there's something very watchable about him. I don't know. He's got that kind of, he's got that movie star quality, which is I hate that term, but like he's got that where it's like, I like looking at this guy. I don't like I don't think he's attractive. I don't like, I'm not saying his dialogue's good, but for some reason, I want to stare at you, sir.
Well, and it reminded me how much I like him in comedies. Like, in fact, as soon as this was over, I rewatched the great scene from Hail Caesar, where he's directing like the hillbilly cowboy guy to be in a fancy drama, and it's wonderful, and he's very, very funny in that. And in Bruges, he's very funny. Because I always kind of have in the back of my head that he's this serious actor, but he's very good at
no, he's got comedic chops.
I mean, Grand Budapest Hotel, he's very funny in that.
Yeah, I think he's kind of funny in this too at times. Like his kind of over the way he does the clap is very funny. Like he's got a very funny. It's the most overstatement I've ever made, but it has a comedic timing to it. Yeah, it's so that and I'm gonna call him the senator, the old guy that gets his finger chopped off.
Yeah. I mean, why not?
Something
sure.
Like very, I don't know who that actor is, but he's very familiar to me. There's something very watchable about him too. I'm like, oh, I empathize with you for some reason. Like he won me over somehow, even though like all I know about him is that he jerked off in front of a high priced prostitute.
Yeah. He reminded me of
sex worker. Sorry.
He reminded me of, his name is Reed Birney, but he reminded me of Ronnie Cox.
The guy from RoboCop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was very bummed on that same note. His wife, Judith Light from Who's the Boss.
Was Judith Light?
That was Judith Light.
Holy shit.
I have never watched Who's the Boss. I've only seen like little bits of it. So it was kind of a bummer that like, oh, Judith Light's around. Oh, she's going to be in this movie. That's cool. Oh, her role is wife. Like they kind of gave her nothing to do. And I was a little bummed because I just thought there's going to be more to do with.
Holy
it's Judith Light.
I can't see
Angela, Samantha, Mona. Yeah. Who's the Boss?
I mean, I haven't seen her since Who's the Boss. Oh yeah, I guess that, holy shit. I did like at the end where she gives a little hand wave.
Yeah. That was nice.
I like where the first speech that Ray Fiennes gives, imagining it in Werner Herzog's voice. Now I can't do the impression, so I'm just going to do a generic German voice, but wir but frightened nanosecond. Nature is timeless. It is so like German bleak. And I'm like, that is fucking funny. It's like, I mean, you need to do it in the German bleak voice, but that's a fucking funny line. It's also kind of poignant, but funny.
Yeah. And the whole thing is that the movie starts with these characters getting on a boat to get taken to this exclusive experience at this restaurant called Hawthorne. Yeah, it's for the celebrity chef Julian Slowick. That's Ray Fiennes' character. It's on this private island, and we're introduced to our main character, who Anya Taylor-Joy is Margot, and she's going there with her boyfriend, played by Nicholas Hoult, who a lot of people might know from he was the Beast in X-Men First Class, or was those the one that wasn't Kelsey Grammer. I don't know what they're called. So a lesser, because that's a good choice for the Beast.
Oh, well, he is Darius fucking Grouch the Third.
That's right. Tyler is his name in the movie. The other diners are these like three tech bros that just right off the bat you're like, oh, I hate them.
That's the part that the obviousness stretched even to me. Where I like a broad satire. I like the kind of it's two-dimensional character we're making fun of him, but like that one was like, oh, that's like super on the fucking nose.
Well, and there were some of the like, and they kind of call it out in a way that I don't think was that effective, but where it's like, these people would have left or have tried to leave. Like before it gets to the point, I think they would have been like, when they first like are taking shit, they would have been like, fuck this. I demand to speak to a higher up. And that doesn't work. They probably would have just left.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
On that note, sorry, before we get into the whole plot, this is important about the tech bro thing. I'm not a person of money. I've never had money. I've literally never had more than $1,000 in a savings account. Like I am a poor motherfucker. Even I know $1,250. That is super fucking cheap for a seat at that table.
I mean, sure. I don't know. I think that's an insane amount to pay for things. I have had experiences in my life, the privilege that I've grown up with. I've eaten at some fancy ass restaurants, and they've been differing levels of ridiculousness.
Well, no, I was just thinking of like, that gold wrapped steak. That's like what, like $5,000 or something?
Oh yeah, that's
that's going around.
Yeah.
But I mean, think about like these bottles of wine are, $500 to $1,000 a pop.
Mm-hmm.
Each one for each table. Like that 1,250 is just fucking taking a boat to an island and
Right.
staying overnight
Yeah.
without food. If you're like, I mean, $1,200 is a lot, but like, yeah, camping on a cool ass island in an Airbnb like this
I mean,
is
that's true.
Like,
Yeah.
like I would be so fucking
could do-
suspect that like something weird is going on, that they're only spending fucking $1,250 on this.
I see your point. It seems like it should be more, but
Yeah, I mean, you're getting on a private boat to a private island with a private chef, an army of sous chefs and preparers, or whatever the proper terminology is.
Right.
And it's like $1,250. I mean, that's fucking cheap. I mean, not for me. I would never spend $1,250 at anything that like I couldn't drive in.
Right. yeah. There's the tech bros. There's as we talked about, like the some older man senator or something and his wife. The job doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And then John Leguizamo.
There's Johnny Legs playing Steven Seagal.
And I legitimately was excited to see John Leguizamo.
Weirdly, I was too.
I like him. He's been in a lot of shit. Has been annoying in a lot of shit, but I do like him.
He's kind of won me over the years. I think
Yeah.
since doing the show, like it just, there's something about like, it's like the old steady, the old standby, Johnny Legs.
There is a running joke in the movie group that I've been a part of. We just watched our 100th movie since COVID began.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which is kind of sad, but
Yeah, it's also very depressing.
there's a running joke that we're going to end up watching The Pest because we've seen little clips of it and it looks atrocious.
Oh, yeah.
But I think
Who was it that was trying to get us to watch it on this show?
Matt
Remember
Case.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was Matt Case. Yeah, was trying to. Yeah.
Yeah. Instead, we watched that good
V for
Pele
Victory.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
John, I just remembered something about our show.
I know that's impressive.
Did you hear that? I remembered something about our
you know
show.
what you should do is what you should do is make a spreadsheet, go through and
I'm
not
gonna-
go through all that again. But I think some of it is like his character in this particularly is like a washed up movie star.
He's
and
doing Steven
I think-
Seagal. They were making jokes about he was a chef in that one movie. Like, it's an Under Siege joke.
Yeah, so these people are there, and Margot, the Alma Taylor-Joy, is already not buying. Is already kind of questioning, like, what's the deal here? Why is this so great? And find out she's this sort of like last minute fill in. Tyler is telling her about how amazing the chef is, and he's a big foodie, and is going on and on and on and on. And some of this stuff, I do feel a little bit like people that talk about stereos. We were talking about in the Patreon episode we just recorded, that you were talking about someone telling you all about the different waves of ska. Where you're like, I don't care. And so like you're enjoying it on this different level than I am, and I don't necessarily need it to be up there. And I kind of like that as a running thing through there, where he's spouting off all this stuff that ultimately, is the kind of the point of it is how nonsensical it all is. She's like, and that's good. I don't understand what you're going for here.
I thought their relationship to start was super strong.
Yeah.
But I was saying like I wanted a more comedic actor. He did a great job up until the kind of going out of order where he snaps in her face to try to get her attention to stop doing things. Because I was like, he read to me as just a food dork.
Yeah.
Where he's overly excited. I did kind of pick up on the fact that she was a hired date a little earlier than I guess I was supposed to. But I was on his side. Like I had empathy for him. Up until the snapping fingers. I'm like, oh, this is just like a dorky guy. It's like, oh, are these the two? Like in my head, I'm like, oh, these are the two survivors. Like he's just a dorky guy that's obsessed with it. He had to buy a prostitute because his girlfriend left him. A sex worker. Sorry, I'm bad at that. Because his girlfriend left him, and now he's lonely, and he's doing this thing, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like he's just like, he's a mess. He's an anxiety mess. Ah, my boy. And then he becomes a shithead. But it was like, oh, that's nice. But after shithead, I want some more comedy out of that.
See, I think that and that turn, it didn't feel like a heel turn as much as like you kind of say, it's like Daenerys in Game of Thrones. Like you see this thing coming. And so I was a little a little bit earlier on, like not quite at the beginning, obviously. Like I really liked them, but then like started to become evident, not in this way of like, oh, what's going on? It was just like, oh, well, this is clearly like he's going to sell this person out. He does not care.
Well,
But
not to give too much away about my dating history, but it is very, very telling that I don't pick up on signs like that until somebody is literally snapping their fingers in my face or like, oh, that last 5 months was a mistake. My bad. That is not a direct reference to anybody, by the way. I just want to be very clear here. Just like,
we're also introduced as they're there. We're introduced with perhaps my favorite performance in the whole thing, Hong Chow as Elsa.
oh yeah, beautiful.
She's fantastic. So she's like the head waiter, staff, whatever, like the chef's right hand person. Viewers that had the misfortune of watching the HBO Watchmen show might recognize her from that as Lady Trieu. She's been in other stuff. Go watch that. We could probably do it would be fitting for us to like years after the fact do a show about Watchmen.
I don't want to watch that show again.
No, it was trash.
This is Alex saying that about a superhero show, and I'm good.
It was
Her delivery when she leans into Tech Guy's ear and she does the "you'll eat less than you desire and more than you deserve." It's just like, ooh, she's just dropping some fucking shit right there.
Yeah, it was great. Her, I bought big on board the entire time just because. She's really great, and the way very like, and even when she's like some of the funnier stuff she does is very like understated and whatever, and still in character, and she manages those like fluctuations in tone really, really well.
I thought her and Prep Chef number 3, the 2 from the back on the left, those were the best performances.
His sweat beads were too forced. No thanks.
Oh God, I didn't even. Yeah, I didn't even think about it.
But again, talking at a different level,
right.
like I'm a sweater. I pay attention to sweat.
No, but you can overdo it. Hypochondriosis or whatever. Yeah, great. Good excuse, but you're on fucking film, dude. You got to show up to be there.
Right. But anyway, so she shows them around the island, and you're already getting a sense of how pretentious this is. Like they see a guy trolling for their shellfish, and they have a smokehouse with expertly aged meats. And the tech bros are already acting up, and she puts them in their place. They go on, and this is the thing that I genuinely do not like about a lot of restaurants, is that like very cold atmosphere in a fancy restaurant.
I went on like a fancy date. I forget the name of the place. It's gone now, but like we sat at and there were supposed to be the good seats, but like you're like on the like if it were a bar, you're sitting at the bar, and then like 2 feet away is the people cooking. So it was hot. It stank. I mean, it smelled like kind of nice, but it was like way too much odors. Everybody was sweating fucking nut, like right in front of you. It was really awkward, and I didn't like it at all. And it was supposed to be like, I got advice that these were the seats to bring on a fancy date. I was trying to impress someone, and did not happen.
But it's also just weird to me. It's like your job's already hard enough. I don't need someone staring at me. And like that's part of being an editor. That's part of my job. Like I have been, there are times I'm in the booth, or in the suite with someone, and they're over my shoulder. And it's aggravating. I'd much rather like do it myself and be like, how's this? But like when particularly that high intensity thing of working in a kitchen, no thanks.
That was so much of the conversation between me and my date of where do we stare? Like we were both like, I don't, this is, I don't want it. Like, what do we just, do you have a piece of paper we can play tic-tac-toe and just wait for our food to come?
But I think that's something that this movie does sort of addresses the sort of absurd pretentiousness that all of this has kind of become. Sure enough, you get Slowik eventually comes out and claps his hands and everyone like snaps to attention and always has like the first dish they have is seaweed put on a rock and like crystallized water. It's just like this absurd thing. Like, well, we served you some delicious seaweed that we made wet in a fancy way. And one of the I left out is as far as the guests, there's also a restaurant critic, Lillian Bloom.
Oh, and, Jesus Christ. Oh, sorry, I interrupted you. We didn't get, she's
that's fine.
The most important of the guests.
Yeah, she's really important, but like, I got tired of their shtick real quick.
I like the guy. I like the guy being like a toady.
He was so obsequious to the point where it's like, you could just pull back a little bit.
Oh, I loved it. That was fun for me.
I just it wore real thin.
Again, it reminded me of like British sitcom or like Fawlty Towers, is like this over the top, like it was fun.
But see, like that tone didn't mesh with the tone of the like the cinematography, like the mood they were setting for a lot of it. It just
that's why I wanted Boyfriend Tyler to be funnier, because then that works with that tone, and then just up the horror a little bit, and you had yourself a nice little movie.
Performances were both fine. I just thought the character was a little much. Yeah, so she's immediately like breaking down like, oh, we're eating the ocean. It's very, and like throws out all these like fancy ass words for it. And I kind of like that because there are certain critics of anything commonly like with music like Pitchfork, back in the day, I don't know if they still do, like people would make fun of Pitchfork for being very, very ridiculous. There was a tweet from a guy, Pitchfork, King Pussy Eater revolutionizes our perception of bodies and spaces with his hit single Goop on Ya Grinch. At Juche, Maine. But like it's that. Is that kind of bullshit? Yeah, but it's that kind of bullshit.
Sorry, I need to recover. That's so fucking ridiculous. Oh, I love every part of that.
It's a great joke, but it's also just that kind of ridiculousness of like really looking into it, like they're really saying a lot here. And it's like, no, you're just eating seaweed on rocks.
Just Goop on Your Grinch is such a fucking funny. Sorry.
Yes.
It's great. That really hit me.
The reason I read the tweet is because it's very funny.
Yeah, it just really got me.
So already you're getting the sense that, you know, like, okay, well, they're trying to take the piss out of some of the pretentious dining stuff. Because Anya Taylor-Joy as well has already kind of like poked holes into like, like he talked about how expensive it is. Like, what are you eating? A Rolex? Kind of not really buying into some of this, you know.
I get that. Still, I'm not going to beat this horse, but $1,250, you can get a Rolex for $1,250. Unless they said it wrong and they meant 12,000.
I don't know. That's still like I understand what you're saying about the wine, but like it's still so much money to spend on food.
But a Rolex is like thousands of dollars.
Yeah, but I mean,
and she's a high end escort. She gets more than that in a night. She could afford this place.
Yeah, but she's more wise with her spending. But it does seem.
But she's not going to get great fucking escargot or whatever.
Yeah, or and then this actually I think was one of the funniest bits. As far as like making fun of the food stuff, is that the second course is bread.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like bread with accoutrements, but no bread.
But no bread. And they give a card that describes the bread they're not eating. Because that is so fucking accurate.
Because the whole thing is they keep going on about, or at least Tyler keeps going on about how like, well, it's telling a story, and you know you really gotta you have to get to the end to really understand it all. But like, so this is very ingenious what he's doing and all this stuff. That might be true. In fact, that they hired a chef to work on this movie. It was like, yeah, I do that with my dishes and stuff like that. Again, I guess that's a level of stuff that I'm not. I'm not thinking that. Yeah,
that's two levels above where we've ever walked into. Yeah.
Right, and some of that like also is as we get to the ending and like people not appreciating what he does or whatever. Like I've eaten some delicious meals at various levels of, you know, fine dining or, you know, Applebee's, whatever. But a lot of times what I remember is just the experience itself and not like.
Yeah,
I couldn't tell you what I ordered. Like where there was a place here. I don't remember what it was called now. Little Bird, I think it was. But like it was really good. I don't know if it still exists, but like it was really good. And we just remembered that the server was very nice. It was like an anniversary dinner or something like that. And like the server was great. And like the food was good, and we just had a lovely time. I don't know. Like, sorry.
I mean, well, that adds to the kind of Ralph Fiennes being fucking psychopath, like expecting you to remember. But on the gastronomy note, I the closest I ever had on this was I went to a Spanish restaurant, but it was like a fancy ass whatever one. Mm-hmm. And they had bread, but they had garlic shrimp in like an oil wine sauce, but there was no garlic in it. So what you did was there was a head of garlic that was cooked, I think. Yeah. It was like cooked garlic that you were supposed to smell and then immediately take a bite of the shrimp was like the experience you were supposed to do. And like, it was like good, but the entire time I went, man, this would be a lot better. That garlic was like in with the shrimp. Like, like this whole deconstructed thing, like that was constructed for a reason because that shit tasted good. And this is, I mean, it's fine, but.
Right. It's just, I guess it's one of those, I don't know. I wish I knew what I was getting into, I suppose. But I mean, I don't think there's necessarily...
Maybe like a shallot or something. It doesn't matter. Shut up.
Yeah.
John, please go.
Point being that like, I do think that ultimately what he's saying about like the not appreciating it is that all these people are allegedly, you know, I've not eaten at a $12.50, you know, dinner, you know, I've not eaten at that level or whatever. So it's probably people, you know, different thing. I always think about, makes me think also about like David Cross had a bit about like on one of his like CDs about going to a fancy New York restaurant, waiting for his table and being at the bar and like your table's ready. And a waiter came over with a little placard on his hand. And he's like, is this like the menu or something? No, it was a place to put his drink so the waiter could take it to the table. But anyway, already people are kind of like, there's different reactions to what's happening, but generally, particularly Anya Taylor-Joy's like, I'm not vibing with this at all. This sucks. Yeah, as you learn as you get there that she we left this out, that they had someone else's name They're supposed to be like, oh, she dropped out at the last minute, so I brought her instead. And I brought this Margot person. But she's not really buying it. Then like the tech bros are pissed off about how there's no bread. And they're like, hey, call over Elsa. And they're like, hey, can we get some bread? Like, you know who we are, right? And they make some
love as a gluten-free person.
Mm-hmm.
I love that they're using that pretentious ass shit going like, can we get some bread and gluten-free from Boy here?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, particularly the actor Rob Yang as like, I think he like I is basically like their leader. It seemed like he was like the more quiet one, but I liked his performance a lot in this. He's the one that's like, I didn't want to do this, but you know who we're with, right? That they reference a Doug Verrick, and he's like, you work for Doug Verrick, we work for Doug Verrick. Hey, we're all buddies here. Can we just get some bread? And then Elsa's like, no. That just made me so happy. Just like that moment
She's so
alone,
good,
I was
yeah.
like, that was so great.
That actor's really slayed it.
Yeah. What ends up, so then they get the third dish, which is Ray Fiennes is giving these monologues, as Alex pointed out, but before each thing. And this Thursday is about Taco Tuesday. This next dish is about memory. Before this, you're introduced. There's another person in the dining room, and it's this sullen-looking woman in a sweater, like just very sort of dressed down compared to everyone
just
else.
slamming back wine.
Just slam back wine, and he's over talking to her, and then he tells this whole story about how that's his mom, and she's drunk and she drinks a lot. And growing up in Iowa, they would have Taco Tuesday, and one Taco Tuesday, his dad got very drunk and tried to assault her, and so ended up stabbing him in the
telephone
leg.
cord around her neck.
Right, and so he ended up stabbing him in the leg. I hope these tacos introduce some memories for you. And laser printed, he mentions that there's this special process where they laser printed images on each tortilla. For like the old man and his wife, it's him at a restaurant with another woman. For the tech bros, it's like offshore accounts, printouts, and like stuff that's clearly they've been embezzling. And I don't remember what it is for
Tyler is him taking pictures of his food from earlier.
They're specifically not supposed to take pictures, and he's taking pictures of the food. And so it's pictures of that.
So the performance that I loved here is what's the lady's name? Elsa's name?
Hong Chow.
Hong Chow's performance where they're like, what the fuck is this? And he's like, well, that's a tortilla.
Tortilla?
Like, no. I mean, see this right here? The tortilla. You're like, what the fuck is this? And he goes, it's a tortilla, and breaks down the syllables of it. Was fucking perfect.
Well, she says it like a newscaster, like the tortilla delicioso.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Also, like with John Leguizamo, this was a minor thing, but it was a real like wrong note for me. When he's there like with his assistant, she's like breaking up with him at this dinner. And it's like, this is the first course. You're doing this now?
That was weird.
Yeah. It's like, I understand that you're trying to go for other job things, but it just felt like, who would do this at this point, right? Like, you're on an island that you can't get away from. Like, what?
Yeah, fair cop.
But whatever. It's just to show that he's on the downturn and these people have different relationships, whatever. And his was a poster for a movie he worked on called Dr. Sunshine. Was it like Hello, Dr. Sunshine or something like that?
Yeah. It was supposed to be Victor Frankenstein, because that was supposed to be Daniel Radcliffe originally.
Oh, that's funny. But I do like that. Yeah, it's just some like, he's like, oh, it's this terrible movie I was in. It was a fun shoot. And so like, it actually elicited good memories from him. Of everyone else, he was like, it sucked, but man, I had a good time. And I like that actually worked for somebody. And then, so people are like, what the hell's going on here? Again, like this is a moment where, and the tech bros, yeah, like you said, they do call her over, but I'm surprised that everyone just kind of takes it. Like the dude, the old man is like, it's just, this is a fake thing. Don't worry about it. And just brushes off his wife.
Yeah,
and she doesn't care, whatever, or is at least swallowing another lie. And Tyler is all upset because he's just worried it means that the chef doesn't like him, which
Yes.
I get that actually, but I'm just surprised the tech bros were like, well, that's fine. We'll just continue to eat here.
So what they said was, if we're fucked, then our boss is fucked. Because I guess his boss is like part of this. And since the boss owns the restaurant, spoiler for later, but the boss owns the restaurant, it's like, well, they can't make this public.
Right.
Because then he goes down, then this place goes down. We're in a stalemate. And like, I sort of follow the logic. We also forgot that the restaurant critic lady, her tortillas were laser burned with the restaurants that she put out of business with bad reviews.
But I don't know. I just think like when you're being sort of personally insulted, would you stay there? And I understand like for the other people, like for Tyler and the restaurateur who like turned it into this like, oh, well, he's telling this cute little story. I get it. Like, I'm surprised they still hung around after being personally insulted.
I don't want to use the wording of of the bad people, but they're betas. Somebody just alphaed in front of them that said, no, this is fine. Shut up and eat your slop. And they did it.
All right.
I did like that they when they served the chicken for the chicken tortillas, chicken tacos, it was on coiled telephone cords.
Yes. Yeah. And this is the point where like Anya Taylor-Joy is really just like, this is dumb.
Yeah, she's fucking done at this point. And she gets it.
And this is where you first start to see that Tyler sucks, because he's like, you don't understand what's going on. And I think this is where he snaps at her or something. And he's like, you're like a child. He gives this whole speech and then he starts eating the tortilla and is like, this is really good. You gotta try this. Because he's like, you stop acting up like I paid for all this, so shut the fuck up. And I think it's here that she gets pissed and like goes to the bathroom. And she's like, starts like, what's going on? And then Elsa's like, can I help you with something? She's like, I'm just going to the bathroom. And shows her the bathroom. And Ray Fiennes comes. She's smoking, which Nicholas has already yelled at her about, destroying her palate. But Ray Fiennes comes in.
Nicholas?
Sorry, that's the actor. I said the actor's name.
Oh, that's the actor's name. I'm like, oh my God, I can't remember. Sorry.
No,
perfectly accurate.
Tyler comes in and earlier Tyler was yelling at her. But Ray Fiennes comes in and is like, what's your deal? You weren't supposed to be here. This is supposed to be like, because you already get the sense of this kid with this character that he's very meticulous and whatever. That's kind of his thing. And he's like, you weren't supposed to be here. What's going on? I can't figure out what your deal is. And she's like, I'm from Grand Island. My name is Margot. I'm from Grand Island, Nebraska. Leave me the fuck alone. It's a very awkward, kind of creepy scene, but I like that. I like them together a lot. I thought they worked well together.
Yeah, they did have good chemistry. I kind of want to see them in another movie together.
Yeah, but then
just like in a few years down the line, though, because I'm a little tired.
Right. So she ends up like going back out, like cooling down, going back out, but it's like really weird about what's going on. And the fourth course is the mess. Which before we get in the mess, because this is really the turn of the movie. One thing I got a huge kick out of, a couple of things. First one being that the guy that plays the sommelier, the guy pouring all the wine, is in Veep as like a piece of shit oil lobbyist.
Oh, really?
And he's such an asshole. But here, when he's been this kind of like obsequious guy, I don't know. It was funny because it's just like, that's not how I'm used to seeing that guy.
I did like that guy, how his French accent broke down over the course of it. That towards the end, he's just like, yeah, fuck you.
Yeah, I couldn't tell at first, but then I was like, wait a minute. Oh, I get it now. But
I didn't notice it until like kind of towards the end when he gave some line. I'm like, oh, you're not doing French anymore. I guess it's been like a slow.
But it made me think of, again, my own history with dining. Is there was a time where my partner Hazel and I, we went to this restaurant in Portland called Beast. And it's this one of those like, it's a fixed price and you go in and there's.
Oh, did you have to like stand on like a trampoline for like 3 days and then you win? Yeah. Oh, that's the Mr. Beast restaurant. Sorry, my mistake. Please continue.
You know what? I hate that guy. I should not know who he is. But again, this Samsung TV thing, it'll give you little thumbnails, particularly like if you have like HBO Max, it'll be like, oh, hey, here's what you were just watching. Do you want to go back to that? Or like Netflix will show you that stuff. For YouTube, I'm signed into YouTube. But she'll just show me random videos and it's always Mr. Beast making that soy face, that
fuck yeah.
I fucking hate that guy. I am a grown-ass man. Why would I be watching Mr. Beast? But anyway, we went to this restaurant and it was good. It's delicious. It's communal dining. So you're sitting at a table with all these other people, which can, in my experience, has been nothing but annoying. But there was this couple there on a date and the woman is like, I just read this thing where if you swirl your wine, like all men swirl their wine clockwise and women swirl their wine counterclockwise or something like that. And Hazel was like, is that true? Is that how you swirl your wine? I go, oh, you don't swirl Night Train. And those people did not enjoy that joke.
That's awesome.
But anyway, so just that kind of like breaking down of the pretentiousness of it spoke to me. I may not be the original bad boy of podcasting like you, but...
well, I mean, you can be the bad little boy of podcasting,
I'll be the bad little
now that
boy.
I've given up the title. You just have to be slightly more adorable.
I fought you for the belt. The bad little boy belt in a cage match. This is where things really start turning. The fourth course, which they're calling the mess, they put out this big sheet. He invites his sous chef, Jeremy, out. And he gives this whole speech, and we kind of referenced it already. He's good, but he's not great. He found out how long the hours are and how much perfection I demand and all this stuff. Are you happy? No. Is this the job that you really want? No. Well, yeah, this sucks. And then he gives him a kiss on the cheek, and then Jeremy blows his brains out. And I like the efficiency of how the kitchen pulls out a plastic sheet and then pulls it back so his brains just go on it. But that was a moment where I was like, oh, okay. I don't know. That was like a bridge too far, I guess, for me. I'm like, I don't understand why this guy killed himself. Just like you already explained the cult element to it, but none of that ever really read for me. Other than they've just lived there. There's just so much of why aren't people fighting back that drove me nuts in this movie.
Well, sir, I would recommend you go back in time and get raised by an organization that systematically rapes children and then makes you eat the flesh and blood of their god every
All
weekend.
right, fair enough.
And then everybody just thinks it's fine. Because I assure you, I've got a brain for this kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm sorry, I was Methodist. We don't have strong opinions about anything.
Yeah, you just love Method
I
Man.
just love Method Man. You know?
That's what Methodism is.
It is. He is the best member of Wu-Tang. I mean, depending on what, you know, that's broken down in different sects because some just like his acting, but I'm more orthodox.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, that's why you nailed those feces to the door.
But this is where it's like, oh wait, something's really going on here. And again, everyone just kind of like was like, oh, that's crazy. And then the old man is like, well, fuck this, let's get out of here.
I like the way they played this off, where everybody thought it was real at first, and then there's like this slow, like kind of cerceration of going like, no, that's got to be like one of those like squibs.
Yeah, it's a
They're
bit.
called squibs, right? This is all part of the drama,
this
and I'm starting to because like. I feel like maybe not to that extreme, but I think if I were in this situation, I don't think I would jump to, oh no, that actually just happened. Like, I don't think my brain could like process it.
A friend of mine was at the match that Owen Hart, the wrestler, died at.
No shit. Yeah.
And he was like, it was weird. They carted him away and then they just kept things going as normal. And I think it's a thing where if you're in the audience of that, you're just like, well, I don't want to think about that. So yay, wrestling.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. I think there was a certain amount of that. Like, clearly that didn't happen. They wouldn't just murder a guy in front of us. But the old man is like, well, fuck this, we're leaving. And the staff like stops him and then cuts off his finger.
That was cool.
He says, I'm going to handle this. And he's like, which hand are you going to handle it with? The left or the right? And
That's
they end
fine.
up cutting off one of his fingers. Ray Fiennes gives another long monologue. You actually meet that Varric guy that they mentioned earlier. And that he has him hanging from wires outside with angel wings because he was an angel investor.
So this is the only problem, like actual, like just this, they fucked it up. They've established earlier in the movie that that's soundproof glass because they have one of the tech bros start slamming a chair into it. They cut to outside and there's no sound as the chair is hitting the glass. Now in this scene, it's entirely predicated on listening to this man being lowered in the water and that his screams go away. And it's like, see, silence.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even put that together.
Yeah, there's like no, like, maybe there's a reasoning behind it. I don't know it. It just feels like a complete fuck
Well,
up.
because the problem for me also is that, like, so this is now just heightened it. Like, he just makes them watch this murder because he had to relinquish ownership of the restaurant to this fucking foul guy who doesn't even get what he's doing or the art of it. And so it's like, it ramps up to this kind of like, you know, this grand guignol kind of thing, and then doesn't stay there. I feel like it kind of vacillates up and down a bit. I was at this level, and then you asked me to kind of come back down, and that didn't really work for me. Because afterwards, because then you get this whole thing where, in concept, I like this, where the next dish, they go outside. He's like, step with me in the night air. And he steps aside and lets one of his sous chefs come out. And she starts talking about how, like, he sexually harassed her. He kept trying to fuck her and she said no. And so he didn't fire her or do anything like that. He just refused to make eye contact with or acknowledge her for 8 months. What a toxic piece of shit. And she stabs him in the leg. The dish is like, hey, all the guys you met are all terrible. Go run away. And we'll give you a 45-second head start. And then our staff will come try to catch you. Tyler doesn't go as first, but everyone eventually like runs away. And they catch them all. I don't know. That seemed really
This is the most pointless part of the film.
I appreciate. I think it's trying to speak to Ray Fiennes, and I feel like they could have done a little bit more with this. Like, Ray Fiennes is upset about the nature of his work. This experience that's supposed to be sensory has been overly intellectualized and made super pretentious, and is done so by people that don't actually fucking get it or care. Like that the people are just there for a status thing or whatever. Like, you don't really understand what I'm doing. You don't understand the art. You just like the idea of what I'm doing or all this stuff. But at the same time, I'm letting myself be a part of that. I am kowtowing to your beliefs and churning myself into this kind of thing and punishing himself for that. But this little extra like Me Too business felt pretty hollow. It felt like this side thing compared to everything else. It also, because like it doesn't really go anywhere. They just run away and the guys get them. And then they come back.
Well, this goes back to what I was saying before about the cannibalism thing. Is I thought this was another cannibalism spot where one of them gets killed and they're the next course. Like that would like, oh, this makes sense. Yeah. But they don't. They have the ladies get together and kvetch a little bit. And, you know, I mean, it was fine. Like I like seeing them talk to each other. I like seeing Judith Light and Anya Taylor-Joy have a bit of interaction.
Well, and so that's when you find out, like they've already kind of figured out, like, we're not getting out of here alive, are we? The employee, the woman is like, oh yeah, no, actually killing everyone was my idea. And I'm really glad. It was my pitch and I'm glad it went really well.
It's a good pitch.
And Anya Taylor-Joy also drops at this point that her name's not really Margot. And she's from Connecticut or something.
Yeah, yeah.
And she's like, not that it really matters. It doesn't. Like, I don't care. Okay.
I think what they were going for there is that all of the women were trying to humanize themselves to the other sous chef. So theoretically they could let her go. So, you know, that thing, if you get kidnapped, you're supposed to go like,
Right.
my name's Alex, I'm a real person. Like, you're supposed to like repeat that. I thought that's what was happening, but it did stick out at me that I had to like give it extra thought of like, why do I give a shit?
Yeah.
Like I don't, if you're from fucking bumfuck Iowa or Massachusetts, who cares?
I
You know?
Like, no one else knows that you lied about being from Grand Island other than the chef, and he's not even there.
Yeah, it literally means nothing. Yeah.
Then it's really like laid bare that he invited everyone there, as I said, because he either like, he doesn't enjoy what he's doing anymore, and they either cost him his love of doing it or exploiting the work of these artists. Like, in fact, he tells Anya Taylor-Joy, all right, you got to figure out, are you are you a giver or a taker? Are you an eater or a server? Because like, I can tell that you're in the service industry person. I can sense it from you. And so you need to make a decision about whose side you're on. And she's like, well, I'm dead either way, right? And he's like, oh yeah, and everyone's going to die. But you just got to figure out if you're going to be on which side. I'll give you 15 minutes to decide. So you got this ticking clock thing going. And this was the thing. This was the bit that I got a genuine laugh out of, is when he's like describing to the people, like laying it out, like why I don't like you. Like for the old man, he's like, you guys are here all the time. You've been here 11 times. What was the thing you ate last time? And they're like, I don't know, cod. And he's like, no, we don't even serve cod. You just don't fucking care about what I'm doing here. This is just a prestige thing for you. Fuck you. You know, hey, critic, you're a piece of shit. You know, goes into all that. You fucking tech bros, you're all garbage. And I like that John Leguizamo is like, what's the deal with me? He's like, on my day off, I watched Hello, Dr. Sunshine. And it was awful. It was so bad.
It's really funny. It's really
and
funny.
then his assistant is like, what? But he's like, what about her? What about her? And he's like, did you go to college? Yeah. Where'd you go? Brown? Did you have student loans? No. You're dead. Like, just the casualness of it. It just killed me.
And it just like, just because it's like somewhat pointless scene, but I did like when they do the fake Coast Guard showing up.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "Oh, man, I love your work," and he names the shitty
Dr.
movie.
Sunshine.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like, I like that. That really kind of. He's like, he doesn't care. Like, I just fuck you. I'm pissed. I had an extra space. Fuck you. But he really comes down on Tyler, because Tyler's a charlatan, and Tyler also, like, for whatever reason, and this again strained credulity a little bit, where it's sort of revealed that, like, well, Tyler reached out to him a while ago, and he could just tell from the beginning that Tyler sucked. That Tyler just like is this obsessive foodie, but doesn't really understand food. Like, he has some gastronomy like permajet or whatever the fuck they call it, and all these trappings, but he doesn't understand the thing, which I totally get. He explains that, like, you find out that he knew that they were all going to die. That Ralph Fiennes basically told Tyler that this was going to end with everyone dying, and Tyler's like, yeah, sweet. And even though his girlfriend left him, he still brought Anya Taylor-Joy just so he could have a place here. They don't do single seatings, and he didn't want to miss out on eating, even though he knew he was going to kill him. And so I like that turn that, yeah, he's such a piece of shit. He's willing to sacrifice someone else for it. But again, I'm like, you just heard that he was going to kill everyone, and you went, yeah, okay.
Well, you'd assume that celebrity chefs have like obsessive fans.
Yeah.
So maybe you just like chose one from the.
I guess I just couldn't make that. I could make the leap of the staff doing it before I could make the leap of this random like guy doing it. But I mean, again,
or maybe he wasn't convinced.
Yeah.
You know?
I just tonally, it just felt off. But fair enough. But then he forces Tyler to cook. He's like, well, you're such a big fan. Like, let's get you a chicken and make you cook. And like we were just saying, it sucks to have someone watch you do your job. Even if you're like not a professional chef, like you can cook decently under that stress, you're going to do anything decent? No. But Tyler, of course, does a shitty job. And in fact, I like the movie, whenever a dish is served, you get a little lovely shot of the food and text that says anything. And I like that they just called it Tyler's bullshit.
Yes.
And then he says something to Tyler, and Tyler apparently goes off and hangs himself, which seemed rather neat. It just was very...
Well, he whispered into his ear something, and I think we're trying to describe as, Ralph Fiennes as this charismatic, he knows how to get to the core of people thing.
Like I said, very pat. Just like, well, all right, done with that. Moving on. But at this point, he calls Margot in. And again, like, I like their exchange. And he is like, okay, I need you to go to the smokehouse and get a thing. We left a barrel there for dessert, and Elsa did bring it, so I need you to bring it. She leaves, and instead of going to the smokehouse, breaks into Ralph Fiennes' house, and Elsa, like, follows her there. It's like, you're not going to replace me. So they fight, and she kills Elsa. And then...
Now, when he sends her out to the barrel, was that him saying, and she didn't pick up on it, like, just go escape?
No, I don't think so. Because I think he was still going to kill everybody. But I think
But I mean, he's letting her out by herself, and then Elsa even said, he never told me to bring the barrel in.
Yeah. But there was nowhere.
Like there was obviously an ulterior motive.
I think it was
going
just
on
to
here.
ingratiate himself.
Oh,
her.
to get her on team.
because
team
like
server.
there was no one,
Okay.
there was nowhere for her to go in theory. Because at that point the boat wasn't there because
The boat wasn't there. Yeah.
she goes into his house and she finds all these like memorabilia of him, like his restaurant reviews, him like with his family that apparently like has gotten estranged from. And I did get again a genuine chuckle out of the picture of him at Hamburger Howie's, and it's like he's employee of the month, and it's just Ray Fiennes, like
Yeah.
a young Ray Fiennes, like happily grilling. But she also finds a radio and she tries to call for help. Coast Guard guy shows up and everyone's like, play it cool. He goes to ask John Leguizamo for an autograph. John Leguizamo writes like, help us. Turns out the Coast Guard guy is in on the bit. Ha ha ha. Oh, what a fake,
Hey,
what
good
a
bet.
fake deal. But he did arrive in a boat. He's actually just one of the cooks that no one paid attention to, which I got kind of a kick out of, but it was like a line cook that no one noticed. Years ago, again in Omaha, Counting Crows played. My sister was a big Counting Crows fan when they were big. Went to go see them and like.
Now, were they playing in Omaha, somewhere in middle America?
Well, that's the thing.
Where they get to the heart of the matter?
They got
the heart that matters
they got
more?
so pissed at the audience. Like the drummer was like, "I was out there selling merch and no one recognized me. I wish we didn't even call the song Omaha." It's like you're the
Really?
drummer for a band that most people
You're
know
the
because they
fucking
saw
drummer
on
of Counting
MTV and
Crows,
know
bro.
the dreadlock
Yeah.
guy. Go fuck yourself. But you're not actually paying attention to who's doing this stuff. So I did like that kind of bit. But this is when Margot like really turns the tables because she's like, I want to send this back. I want to send stuff back. And he's like, what are you talking about? And she's like, your cooking sucks.
Yeah, there's no love in
There's
it.
no love in it. And he's like, what are you talking about? There's love. She's like, no, everything's too fussy or whatever. I did like this line, even your hot dishes are cold.
It's a good line.
And worse is I'm still hungry. Then she's like, you know what I want to eat? A cheeseburger. He's like, all right, I'll make you. She's like, no deconstructed bullshit. Just make me a cheeseburger. He does. Fine. He seems to really, there's a spark. He actually enjoys doing it. And then she kind of catches on this and is like, can I get this to go? And yeah, he like lets her go. It's kind of like a reverse ratatouille or something. The dish made the chef remember what he liked.
Let me up with the $1,250 being way too small thing. Another big issue I have with this film and the soundproof glass. Why the fuck would they have American cheese there?
That does seem surprising. Yeah, that they unless it was for the staff.
That's-
'Cause sometimes the staff is like, I don't fucking care. I'll just eat whatever. But it did seem.
Yeah, it just seems weird to ship American cheese to a secluded island.
But so she's able to leave, and then he makes his final dish, which is a giant s'more.
This is the funniest fucking thing in the movie.
I
It's so stupid. I loved it.
It made me roll my eyes a bit. He puts giant chocolate hats on everyone and puts like vests of marshmallows on them.
Marshmallow
Sprays like
vests.
flammable graham crackers on the ground.
So
And because
good.
it gives a whole speech about how like this is all garbage, but like to us it's comfort. Like this is just industrial waste. This is just terrible shit, but we all appreciate comfort. So and there's also a callback because he talks about his chef's hands, how he can hold a skillet. He's burned his hand so much he doesn't feel anything anymore. And he's holding an ember and he ends up dropping it and setting everyone on fire. And the cooks all go up too and whatever. And Margot escapes on a boat and is like watching from the shore eating the cheeseburger. And I thought that was a little bit like, okay, whatever.
Her wiping her mouth with the menu was a little over the top. I'm like, I don't know. I like the movie enough that it's like, you deserve it. That's fine. Good job, movie.
I just wanted more for what they were trying to do. I just think her description of his food, I felt was a bit like the movie. Like I'm left wanting more because it's kind of hollow at its core. It's just, rich people suck. And like, I think what it's saying is interesting. I just think how it's saying it isn't that interesting.
Well, I think you're a fucking idiot and I'm going to have to kill you for food.
That's fine. I don't have to watch the menu again. I mean, it's not that bad. I mean,
true.
it's
I enjoyed
it's
it. yeah.
fine. It's totally fine. I just think if you want to watch like a better satire, this kind of stuff, I either want it to be more clever, like Parasite, or more fun like Brian Yuzna's Society. A lot more fun and goopier. It's a horror movie, so there's some gross stuff in there, but it was a lot more fun about rich people being terrible. It's like its insight is about as deep as this movie, but it's a more enjoyable watch to me.
Well, I say watch it. John says,
Yeah, it's fine. The
yeah.
performances really anchor this thing, and that helps it.
All right, so John, we have now talked about a movie. Let us talk about things that we've watched or imbibed other ways in the segment we like to call recommendations.
Recommendations for me, two opposite ends of the spectrum. The first being Project Wolf Hunting, which is a Korean horror movie. Basically, it's almost like a Resident Evil game where there's a bunch of convicts being shipped on a container ship for some reason, and with some cops protecting them. But then also on the ship is some unspeakable bioweapon that gets loose. It's like it's Con Air crossed with The guy in Resident Evil 4 with its blind and has claws for hands. It
right.
is so unbelievably bloody. It's ridiculous, but it just does not stop. But I had fun with that. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, on Valentine's Day, I watched the Rock Hudson Doris Day picture Pillow Talk, which was a lot of fun and just
That's
colorful. I loved the set design, the gowns, all of it. Rock Hudson is a hunk. I'd seen Seconds, but that's a little bit older Rock Hudson. But back in his prime, the man was a hunk. And it's one of those like great romantic comedies where like the grand romantic gesture is actually really fucking awful if you think about it, but it's treated as fun.
That's good.
But it's great, colorful, fun. Highly recommend.
Well, so I was excited that I thought I was going to come up with the most random movie watched in this one because I watched a random ass movie
All right.
that I'm recommending. I watched Primal Fear.
Oh yeah, baby.
With Richard Gere and Ed Norton.
Yeah.
Very, very baby Ed
That was like
Norton.
his first big role, I think.
I think so. I think it's like 2 years before Fight Club. I remember liking the movie, and I was having one of those nights where I went through every streaming service I have, flipping through it. Nothing seemed remotely interesting. And I think Amazon Prime or whatever, like that, I don't know how it got there. That showed up. I'm like, all right, let's give this a go. And it holds up a lot. I finally reached the age where Richard Gere, I get him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like I never got him as a young man, but now that I'm like of a certain age, I'm like, totally get it. Like now I understand the Richard Gere thing. Ed Norton's great in it. Performances are good. The only thing that ages it is that it's 1996 and like it's still pretty goddamn sexist. Just like it's not like Richard Gere's sexist in the movie.
Yeah.
It's just like he's like a regular 1996 guy,
Yeah.
which is like soup's fucking sexist.
Yeah, it is. Now that I think about it, it's been years since I've seen the movie, but it is kind of a dad movie. So it makes sense that as we get to that age that it would, that it might make a bit more sense.
But Ed Norton is like, I mean, it's not that I never got it. Like I've always thought he was like an amazing actor, but like seeing him so fucking young and just knocking it out of the park with that performance, like, dude, yeah, you deserve it. That's why you've got a 30-year career or whatever at this point.
But it's also interesting to see that and to think about like, cause he's earned a reputation of being difficult to work with and whatever. And just to be like, oh, here's before that happened, and maybe he was still then, but that like you haven't gotten high on your own supply yet. Kind of the same way that like, I think some of the earlier M. Night Shyamalan stuff, like it's solid, but then like he's got high on his own supply for a while and then it got insufferable.
I also just realized that this movie came out. I think this movie came out the same year Anya Taylor-Joy was born.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
That's upsetting.
Oof, yeah. Yeesh. Ugh.
And what's good about Hollywood, though, is that Ed Norton could easily be cast as her love
as her boyfriend, no
interest in a
problem.
movie. Yeah.
Which I like. This movie did a good job, I think, of. I will say this just to get back to it real quick. It's like making someone as that could be perceived as exotic, like Anya Taylor-Joy, and making her a more regular person, and it worked. It never felt like she's too pretty for this role, or like she doesn't seem like the right fit or something. Like it just worked really well. I thought she played that character very well. Like particularly when you find out like, well, she's not who she claims to be, so that maybe might be why she's a little bit more exotic. I don't know. I thought it was. I didn't think she stuck out as I worried she might have.
Yeah, I'm there with that. That actually reminded me. That didn't, but shut up, Alex. I also rewatched The Usual Suspects.
Oh, nice. How was that?
So Ed Norton and Kevin Spacey switch in my head sometimes. Not like in any real way. Just like I think I watched a lot of their movies the same year back in like the late 90s. It is still very watchable. Spacey is, I mean, as much as he's a monster, man, that guy can act the fuck out of things.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. And even like the reveal at the end is, I mean, I know it. I've known it the whole time. I've known it for years, but it's still like, oh goddamn,
It's fun.
That's a goddamn good reveal. So the only downside is, Kevin Spacey is not great.
And the director is a monster as well.
Oh, who's the director?
Bryan Singer.
Oh shit, I didn't realize that. Yeah.
Bad. No wonder they got along. Bad dudes.
Yeah, and I think one of the bald ones, I think that's like the weirdo Christian bald
Steven,
one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't at the time, but yeah. But yeah, that might be a fun thing to do. Is like just because like I've been wanting to rewatch Sleepers. Do you remember that one?
Which one was
like Jason
Sleepers?
Patrick? I think like Brad Pitt. It's like as kids they like accidentally kill a guy with a hot dog cart or something like that, and then they go to like a juvie and Kevin Bacon rapes them all.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, Kevin Bacon's like a kid figure. Yeah.
But it's like mid 90s prestige dramas. I keep wanting to go back and rewatch.
Yeah, maybe that's what we should do, a theme month of mid 90s prestige dramas and be like, what the fuck is this?
So for the next movie, fans of the John Alex Hayes stuff, so all three of you, might remember years and multiple episodes ago, we did a little movie called Swiss Army Man that we hated a lot. And we hated it so much that it made someone so mad it gave us a 1-star review. Now we're going to give...
Is that true? Did we get a 1-star review because of that?
Yep.
Oh, that's funny.
There was... whatever.
Whatever, it's fine.
But we're going to go ahead and revisit the Daniels and their latest work, the Everything Everywhere All at Once. It's up for some Oscars. People really like it. I enjoyed it when I saw it in the theater. I'm going to give it another shot, see if that holds up, and we'll do a whole episode talking about it. Alex has not seen it yet, so this will be an exciting time.
But I hear it's about the multiverse, and that relates to comic books, and therefore I'm there for it.
You're on board.
Double thumbs up.
Yeah.
So yes, we'll do that. We will see you on the next episode. Please follow us on social media at JawsPod on Twitter. We're on TikTok at JawsPod, Facebook, John and Alex Hayes Stuff, Facebook. That's about it.
See you next time.
All right, bye.